to begin with, I would like to invite to the dais the guest who came all the way from Japan, Ms. Miwa Sakuraki, to the dais. I would like to request the volunteers to please escort Madam to the stage. Ms. Miwa Sakuraki from Japan. I would like to request on the dais Mr. Rajat Chaudhary. So, both the guests are on the dais now. Ms. Miwa Sakuraki, a Japanese fiction writer who has published 3 books, poems, tanka, and contributed to 4 anthologies. Her 4th novel, Acacia in the Morning, Sogalgukan, which evokes the complex relationship between Japan and Korea, is scheduled to be published in summer. In 2021, her novel, Coke is Burning, Suisha, regarding the feminizations of poverty in Japan, received the Japanese Poverty Journalism Special Award. Her first book, Beautiful Cocoon, Kondansha, telling stories located in East Timor, Laos, Japan, and India, was published in 2018. One short story, co-signed with Hakura Mugihara, was translated into Chinese, that is Chinese fiction world. Born in Kyushu Island, Miwa Sakuraki grew up in a small village of Mount Hiko, one of the most famous places for Sugan Japanese mountain religious, incorporating Shinto and Buddhist concept. After majoring in writing and journalism at Waseda University, she left for Thailand in 2024 and worked for the local Japanese magazine. She also lived in East Timor, France, and Indonesia. She now lives in a small island of the largest inner lake in Japan. So once again, I welcome you, madam, to this program. I would like the volunteers of the organizing committee, please come forward and do the honor of felicitating Madam Miwa Sakuraki. Done? Okay. So I was busy reading out his bio, so in the meantime, felicitation has been done. Next we have Rajat Chaudhary sir, a bilingual author who writes in English and Bengali. His works include acclaimed climate fictions and biopunk novel like The Butterfly Effect and Spellcaster, short story collections like Hotel Calcutta, edited, international anthologies of speculative fictions and solar punk video game narratives, and translations of memoirs and poetry collections from Bangla, among others. The Butterfly Effect was part of 50 must-read eco-disaster in fiction and 10 works of environmental literature list of Book Riot USA. Recipient of International Fellowship and residents of British Councils, Charles Wallace, Houghton and Castile, and Arts Council, Korea. His work have been included in university courses and writes and speaks fluently about climate fictions and possible futures in local and global ventures. So once again, I welcome you, sir, to the dais. And now I leave the stage to you, sir. Please, you may continue. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for that long introduction. It was not necessary, actually. Welcome to this post-lunch session, which is always, people are a little sleepy. But we'll try to make it exciting. So this session is called Acacia in the Morning, Unheard Tales from Japan. Acacia in the Morning is, of course, Miwa's new novel, which is about to come out. And Unheard Tales from Japan, why are we using that word? Because Miwa will share with us many things about Japan that we usually are not aware of. Like, I will tell you about myself. 10, 15 years back, I had applied for a job in a Japanese, consulate in my city. And there were about 100 applicants there. And they only asked us two questions. What do you know about Japan, and what kind of work are you doing now? And so about 90% of the respondents, they said that technology. That's the only thing, that's the most popular thing about Japan. And, but I had somehow chanced upon a book of Japanese art, old artists, Hiroshige, Utamaro, all those artists. And I spoke about them and I got the job. So Japan has a lot of, culture, secrets, and several other things that we don't know of, which is why we are calling this Unheard Tales from Japan. So to begin with, you were born in this, you were not born, you were living in this small mountain town on Mount Hiko, is it called? Hito or Hiko? And there's this religion called Shugendo there, which I'm told is a mix of, esoteric Buddhism and Shinto and some animistic religions and so on and so forth. So what I wanted to ask you first is, and there's a lot of magic in that religion too. So I wanted to ask you whether this religion have had an influence on your work, whether Shugendo has had an influence on your work, and also because you told me about the influence of your father, if you could speak a bit about your father's influence on your writing.
Thank you, Mr. Rajat. And Kurumbai, my name is Miwa, and I'm from Japan. So thank you for Mr. Rajat. But can I talk a bit first? Yes, as you said, my father was very, very old. So he passed away already. But when I was a child, he was too old, and it was difficult for me to take care of very naughty girl. So that's why he gave me a book. So I started to read a book. It's okay. And when I was a high school student, I read a book, somebody who traveled in India. So I was so attracted by India, and I decided to go to travel India too. So when I became a university student, I went to India, and so that's why today I was so happy to be here. Thank you for your invitation.
Yeah, thank you. You traveled to India when you were a student. Yeah.
Yes.
Which places in India was this?
At that time, I went to Benares.
Benares. Okay.
Benares.
Yeah.
And afterwards, before I published my first book, I went to Kerala, and I also wrote a short story about South India.
Yeah, which is set in India. The short story is set in India.
In the first book, yes.
In the first book, yeah.
The title is Magnetic Journey, because India is magnetic for many Japanese.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your poetry writing also. You write a lot of tanka, no? Have you also published tanka as a book? Yeah.
I just published tanka in poetry magazine, in Japanese magazine, in poet.
So would you want to tell us a bit about tanka? Because it's a very old tradition. It's older than haiku, and haiku evolved from tanka. And is it still very popular in Japan? Has the popularity regained in the like at this time, or it is kind of an old traditional kind of writing? Are many poets working with tanka now?
Tanka is very old tradition in Japan. So, for example, Japanese national song is also tanka, like 57577 words. So, but now recently, it's again became popular because of SNS, because Twitter, now X, but now so young people can express tanka because it's so short, so it's fit with SNS. So now
it's
become
like,
popular.
yeah, because of the short messaging thing you're saying that we use in mobiles, because of that connection, it has become popular? Okay. So that's interesting. But between poetry and fiction writing, which one do you enjoy doing more? Your fiction or
Yeah.
verse?
This is, yes, this is literature, poet, and fiction story. Both are literature, but I think it's very different. So I love story, so, but I start to study poem to become my expression more wide or fresh or something, because poem, they have a lot of refreshing inspiration for language. So I learned poem for my fiction story.
Okay, you use poetry within your fiction also, or it's like separate? Sometimes? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to try, but
Okay, you haven't yet. Yeah, that's fine. So let's talk about Acacia in the Morning. This is a book you have just finished, no? Is it a novel?
yes.
Okay. And here acacia is the acacia tree that we see,
Yes.
yeah, pictures of it.
Yes.
And it is about the Japan-Korea problematic relations of all that wartime and, comfort women and all those troubles. So what is this book about? Is it like kind of talking about the past, the horror of the past, or how the relationship between the two countries has evolved and what you are looking forward to? Where is this novel situated? Is it in the past, or it's kind of looking at a hopeful future between these two countries?
So we have an older relationship, Korea and Japan, but according to generation, they have a different feeling. For example, older generation, some people, I think Korea same, so they had, how can I say, they had a hard memory because of World War II.
Older people must be having memories of,
what
of that
Japan
horror. Yeah.
did, but now young generation, so they had a good relationship. So young Japanese kids, they love Korean culture, Korean food, K-pop. So now they have a new relationship and new feeling too. So I want to write both, and I want to have a hope to
About the future of the
about
two countries.
and
yeah.
also to remain history, and
Okay.
as we imagine.
Yeah. So your characters in this book, these are like Japanese, Korean, or which countries do they belong to? Characters from Acacia in the Morning.
Both.
Both? Yeah.
Both.
Okay. And it's set in which cities? Tokyo, Seoul, like that?
Osaka and Seoul,
Seoul.
and north of Korea, border of North Korea and
Oh,
South
it's
Korea.
on the border also. Yeah, that
It's
interests me a lot.
different places.
Because that's a very problematic area again, the trouble between the two Koreas.
Yes.
And because in my novel also, I dealt with South and North Korea relations a bit. Anyway, so yeah, so it kind of gives me an impression that many of your books have a strong political justice content. You have also written about women being paid less, feminization of poverty and things like that. But also you write poetry, so the aesthetic impulse must be also very strong in your writing. So do you experience, tension between the two about writing politics and writing beautiful prose or verse? Do you experience a tension between the two in your creative work?
I want to write about people, small boys, or somebody who cannot speak. Who they are small people like me. So, but of course, we are affected by politics. We are affected by nations. But each person has a history. Each person has a great inside world. So this is what I want to write.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, of course. So the political impulse and the historical impulse are greater in your writing. Through depiction of people and incidents and whatever happened in the past and what is happening now. So, but can you tell us a bit about this book, Coke is Burning, which is about feminization of poverty. Women are poorer everywhere because of structural and other reasons. So what is this book about? Who are the protagonists? Where is it happening? Where is it set?
I'm from Kyushu in Japan. This is a famous coal. Coke
is what? Coke is it?
Coke is something coal, you know.
Oh, the coal, coking coal? Okay, right.
Yes, because all the time, a lot of workers work for this in my area, in my hometown. But now, so they are abandoned because now they don't use
Coke anymore.
Yeah, right. So, but at that time, many workers had a lot of work. So I want to, and also at that time, women also worked in the coal. So, and in this book, I wrote about old time, women in old time and women in present time.
So did you research this closely about these women who were working with, who were using coking coal in the past? Did you do a lot of research for that, and how?
There is a research book. One old lady had an interview, but now most of them passed away. So I read the interview and...
Okay, you had interviewed them in the past and then used those in your
yes.
part of your research. Okay, you also write science fiction, no? Like you have written short stories, science fiction short stories.
Yes.
But your other books are not really science fiction. Those are kind of political, social novels. So tell us a bit about your science fiction writing. Like where did you get this impulse to write science fiction, and how do you feel it's different from your other creative work, which is kind of more political?
How can I say? Anyway, so I like to write about human being or relationship between different people. This is what I want to write about. So both are same.
Right. Even in science fiction, you are exploring relationships between people and also maybe society, like how society impacts people.
Not society, human being, people.
Yeah. So there's this story you're saying something? You wanted to say something more? No.
No, it's
okay. No, I just wanted to ask, this science fiction story of yours that has been translated into Chinese, is it a story based in Japan, or it's a kind of...
this is somewhere different.
Somewhere in Japan, and it's in the near future?
Near future.
Near future story, okay.
Yes.
Do you handle climate change also in your story writing, climate change? I always ask this question, everyone, because I do a climate change.
Yes, this is your special...
Have you also engaged with climate change in your fiction?
Yes.
A bit? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Tell us.
Okay. Now, so I live in a small island in lake in Japan. There is a biggest lake in Japan, very, very old lake, and there is a small island in the lake. Now I live in this island, so, and I had a lot of interview with old fishermen. They say, so now the lake had totally changed. Before they had a lot of fish, many kinds of fish, variety of fish, but now they couldn't catch anymore. They had, but compared to before, because of climate change, because of waste, bad pollution.
Yeah.
So this so I wrote a story. In the future, this island was survived. All other parts are destroyed, but because this island is isolated, and also they catch fish, they grow vegetable by themselves. So this community is strong, and in the future, the island was survived, and. There are two characters. One is small kids who had roots Indian, and one is Japanese, something like this.
Very interesting. Like it's a kind of hopeful story because this is a more sustainable. This island is more sustainable because they are kind of pursuing sustainable farming and things like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because so when they had a big earthquake in Japan, 2011, at that time I lived in Tokyo, and I had the impression in Tokyo was very fragile, because it was this earthquake was not in Tokyo. This was north of Japan, but still Tokyo was affected. We couldn't buy water, we couldn't buy things. So I have found the city is very fragile. So
Yeah. And a question that comes kind of, these are very close, environmental disaster and industrial accidents like Fukushima and whatever. Have you written about those things also, like nuclear accidents and things like that?
yes, I visited Fukushima after the thing. And yes, I think you also know through media, but I was shocked too because the village nobody, and now it didn't work, the village.
So, like, is it better now? Is Fukushima now livable? Are people living there, or it's kind of still it's like a Chernobyl kind of situation?
No, but the center is. I think they don't
No,
come
that's
back.
it. Yeah, it has been evacuated totally. Okay, and so let's come to India. Your experience in Benares and Kerala, and how these have influenced your writing. Like you have written short stories about set in India, no? So can you just tell us about these stories and were these like, what were the themes of these stories, like spiritual or just like human relationships, or what were they, or science fiction maybe? The India stories, the stories that were based in India.
Indian story in the first book,
Yeah.
Magnetic Journey. This is a Japanese woman visit India because her brother got sick, cancer, and she had in India they have a medicine because it's famous for medicine, right, in India.
Yeah, there's this old systems of traditional systems of medicine in India, like in other countries also.
Yeah, but it's also very present
Effective?
medicine.
Yeah.
So she came to India and she met old friend and she had something little bit wonder experience, something like this.
You don't have to give away the plot, but I'm just asking what the story is about.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
thank you. Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah. And you have lived in a lots of different places, no, around the world, like mostly in East Asia, though, Laos and East Timor, and then Indonesia, and also France. And have all of these places entered your writing and as places, or like you have kind of teased out universal themes from these places, like Laos, East Timor? You have written stories about all these places, and these stories are like very much connected to those places, or these are like kind of human, individual, universal human themes?
Yes, and also I'm interested in each culture. It's like land place is same as a person. They have a history, they have secret, they have different deep stories. So I want to access as much as I can, and I want to write.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And these are all short stories, no? Like France, a short story based in France.
Yes.
And these appeared in that book. What is it called? Cocoon. What's the name? Cocoon? Okay. So, yeah, that's very interesting. And I wanted to ask you about your journalism also. No, you have done a degree from Waseda, and You have been working for a magazine in Thailand.
yes.
Yeah. Many of the Western writers, famous Western writers, had been journalists. They cut their tooth in journalism.
Like
Hemingway and Mark
Garcia
Twain.
Marquez, yeah.
Yeah, so all of them. And did your journalism help your writing in any way, or has it influenced your writing? It must have taught you certain things which might have helped how you write stories. So if you want to tell us about that.
Maybe, I don't know if this is affected, but I research, I interview, I read a lot of book before I start to write.
Okay, so yeah, that practice that you have gathered from your journalism also comes helpful when you're writing your
Yes,
stories.
yes.
Like for Coke is Burning, you interviewed these old women who were working with Coke, no?
No, because
You read the books?
they already,
They had already passed
Passed,
away. Okay, but how did you do your research? By reading the old books and records?
yes.
Okay, yeah, great. So, how much we have more? If we have more time, let me see. Would you want to talk a bit about Thailand? Are you writing a book on Thailand now, or you said that you had been working there? So, if you can just tell us about your experience with Thailand.
Yes.
Are you writing anything about Thailand right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The next.
It's the new book after this?
yes,
Okay.
after
And
this.
is it a novel? Is it a novel or a short
Is
story?
it Nobel?
Okay.
It's Nobel.
And science fiction or
Maybe not.
not science fiction? Okay. Yeah, so I think at this point I can open the floor, and if anyone has questions to ask Miwa, you're welcome. Any questions? I think there's a question here. Anyone else? Oh, there's a question there at the back. Yeah, if you can just.
Hi, Miwa. We met yesterday evening, all of us here. I have two questions. I'll bring them together, The first is a technical question, basically, because as Rajudha pointed out, that you were into writing and journalism both. You are into writing and journalism both. So, and which is quite a trend, in Japan. So, I want to know what kind of, support systems, institutional support systems exist in Japan for young writers, whether there are any. So what helps them in the writing process, or do you have to resort to a second profession? That is the first one. And the second is more to do with translations, So I want to know if you get to read Indian literature in translation, and what remedial measures would you want for more translations between Indian languages and Japanese? So if you would share your ideas on both of these.
Yeah, so the first question is about support for writers. Are there many foundations, institutions which are helping, which help Japanese writers to, survive? Because it's otherwise very difficult. You have to either pursue a second job, or are there many of them? That's what he's asking first. So if you want to answer him.
So about first question.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know about India, but I was impressed about this festival, because in Japan, I don't think we have this kind of literature festival. And also Japan, I don't think they have a lot of official support for writers. I don't think so. But the publishers try to support writers. So they publish literature magazine. So I write a story, and the magazine pay for me. And after they publish a book, and they pay me something like this. So the publisher tries to support writers. But I don't think much public. Not much.
But not many foundations or institutions which give fellowships and things like that? No?
I don't think so.
Oh, that
Maybe we
a few.
Yeah, but I don't think so.
Not many, okay. Yeah, but it's good to hear that there are magazines which pay. There are not many in India which pay. There are several magazines which won't pay writers. Yeah, they just, so that is good. And the other question he asked was about translation. Do you get to read a lot of Indian literature in translation in Japan? And if so, if you can name a writer you have read.
I read some Indian literature, but
In Japanese translation, no?
in
Or is-
Japanese
okay, right.
translation, I read some Indian literature, but I think maybe not enough, I
Not
guess.
enough, yeah. And so what can be done so that there's more translation between these two cultures, like Japanese work getting translated into English and other Indian languages and vice versa, like Indian works getting translated into Japan. Is there any movement, are there groups pursuing this kind of, translation between the two cultures? Is the government doing anything about it? Are you aware?
No.
Yeah, because that's very necessary, no? Yeah. We get to read a lot of Japanese authors nowadays. Like, of course, you have the Murakamis, and then you have the Netflix series, Midnight Diner, and Till the Coffee Gets Cold, and all those books. But not enough. And I don't think Japanese works are getting translated into Indian languages, into the big and small Indian languages. So that is something, that's a very good question, actually. Yeah. I don't know. Both the government and private institutions have to come forward, and publishers to support these. Many foreign governments have funding for translation, so that should happen. Any other questions anyone wants to ask Miwa?
Myself, Tongrom Amarjit, and I'm representing Manipuri language, and I'm from Imphal. I'm really interested in the topic that you were talking about, all this lake in Japan, and how the fishing community, they are losing its ground while they are fishing. The same thing is happening right now in Manipur also, because we have this Loktak Lake, one of the largest freshwater lake in the entire Northeast. But the same thing is happening in Loktak also. The indigenous variety of fishes are now very hard to find, and rivers, mainly the wetlands. I just want to say this because tomorrow is World Wetland Day. We are just coincidence of this program, and we are talking about environmental impact, the climate change impact, how we are. Being a writer, I just want to ask is that being a writer, how you are going to tackle such kind of issue, I mean the environmental threats we are facing right now. Because the Brahmaputra River, Ganga, even this Barak River, all these wetlands, rivers, they are facing the same fate across the world. So being a writer, being a poet, I do sometimes write in this about this environmental degradation that we are facing. So being a writer in Japan, what you want to do in future, being a fiction writer, being a poet, that's what I want to know from you. Thank you.
Yeah, so the question he's asking how writers can get involved with environmental activism through their writing or otherwise. Are you trying to do that, raising awareness about environment and other issues, pollution, through your writing? Do you have plans to write more about these things?
It's a difficult question. Maybe you are.
It's a difficult, yeah. I always
because you think about.
Yeah, everyone asks me this question, but this is for you. You already said that you have dealt with environment issues in that story about the lake. Are you planning to do more of that? Do you want to incorporate?
We are also responsible, being a writer, to give awareness.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is it?
Wisely for sustainable.
Is it part of your plan? That's what he's asking. Do you want to write more eco-fiction, environmental fiction? Do you want to deal with more environment issues in your writing? Do you plan to do that? That's what.
No, how can I say?
Have you thought about it, to write more about environment, to write more about nature, pollution, climate change?
I guess yes, but I think you and you have a sincere feeling about this. So that's why you are writing. So now I cannot say I will write because I think you have to write from
What you feel.
Yeah, what
Yeah.
you feel and what you feel
Yeah.
seriously. So I cannot
Yeah.
make a pause. I cannot pretend.
Exactly. Yeah. Unless you feel you cannot write, but just as you're talking about Loktak Lake, you have already written about this lake where you live on the island.
Yeah.
So if you again get very involved with an issue like that, then you will be writing. That's what, yeah. That's very true and an honest answer. Thank you.
Okay.
So, hi, Miwa. We've just met. I took a photo with you. Nice to meet you. Here, Professor Stream Nedkar, representing Khasi language from Meghalaya. So, since you have written a number of tanka also, I'm always interested in poetic poem. And I have one book with me. You know, this is the first book in Khasi. It's tanka. It's written in a tanka form, a classical form of Japanese. And this is the challenges of time. I just know a little about tanka from, from the sources that I had got to read. But meeting you face to face, it will be, very much meaningful if you could highlight a little more about the 31 onjis of the Japanese style in writing tanka 5-7-7-5-7, isn't it? So do you believe that this classical form of Japanese poetry is always, has to always be feminine in nature? That is my first question.
What, sorry, what did you say? This
Like,
part?
this type of, the form of tanka, is it important that it has to be a feminine, has got the feminine type of, expressing in this form of poetry? Or is it something else?
The last part of your question, is it feminine, you said?
No. What I want to say here, to ask here, whether this type of poetry is always regards to feminism or not.
Well, yeah. Well, she's asking whether tanka at this moment, the tanka that is being written now, whether it handles feminist issues more, or it's written or not, whether it involves general issues also.
I don't think so. You mean tanka is more feminine?
That's what. Yeah, that's what.
No, I don't think so.
Not always, I believe. It's not always, because I've seen other writers also, they write poems on this. So some of the critics, they said that, it always relates with the theme of love. But can we have other themes more than love?
Yeah, she's saying that tanka often deals with love, but are there tankas written about other things, other themes? Of course, I think.
Ancient time, yes, this is like love letter.
Yeah.
People communicate with tanka.
Yeah.
This is like love letter, and this is like ritual. Start to love. But now, so young people express their everything.
Yes. Why I'm asking that? Because I thought I have changed the trend of what the classical writings or in the Japanese form of poetry, the tanka. Because in my collection of tanka poems, I do write about women. I do write about the race. I do write about politics. I write everything.
Yes,
but
yes,
in
that's
those,
right.
in those 31 onjis. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Any other questions for Miwa? Oh, there's a question here.
I have a small question. I'm Bente from Denmark, Danish Cultural Institute. It's a pleasure being here with you, Miwa. Great pleasure, new friend. Do you know who your readers are? Do you know your readers? Who are your readers? Are they old? Are they young? Do you have any relationship with your readers? That's my question.
Thank you. I don't think which generation, which gender or something, but I found different people read my book, and sometimes I received a letter like thank you for I read your book by chance and I felt I was saved or something. Many of them are women. This is my impression.
Yeah, that's very much possible. Well, actually, I think there are two kinds of writers. There are writers who research their audience very well and then just focus their story on them. And then there are writers who kind of write for a general audience and then get the feedback from all quarters. So anyone else? We have a bit of time, maybe 3-4 minutes. So if anyone, yeah.
Why it is necessary to adapt technique in the poem? Why can't we write free verses the way you're writing in a particular format, tanka or haiku or sonnets? Why can't we liberate it from the clutches of the meter system and the clutches of technicality to make it for a common man?
Yeah, he's asking why you're not writing free verse, like why follow a structure, a rhythm, or like 5/7, 5/7, or whatever it is. Why you stick to that? Why you are writing tanka? That's the basic question. Why don't you write free verse?
Because this is something feel comfortable for Japanese, the rhythm. Ta 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 ta. It's kind of like this. This is kind of very how can I say? It sounds rhythm and sound are very comfortable for Japanese speaker. But also, if you have format, so this is it. You don't feel free, but actually you try to create something in the box, so you can create much
More energy.
than before. How can I say? I don't know.
I get you. Yeah.
Maybe you know. Poem is the same. Yes, maybe. Sometimes you have a rule. Sometimes you have regulation. This is make you feel a bit like this. But actually, after you can create something big. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And these old forms have, they have gotten into our collective unconscious or whatever you call it. So more people easily connect with these old forms, whether it's a sonnet or a tanka. But then again, free verse and all that is also very important. So yeah, I think what you're saying is right. Any other questions? Anyone else? Otherwise, yeah. There's a question there? Yeah.
Thank you so much. First of all, Ohayo Miwa.
Ohayo.
Arigato gozaimasu for being with us. It's just a curiosity, not a question. Where did you get the inspiration from, and what did you wanted to suggest to the young people listening to you right now? Thank you.
I didn't get you. Can you?
सर आप इनके लिए अनुवाद कर दीजिएगा. आपको लिखने की प्रेरणा कहाँ से मिली, और जो युवाएं सुन रही हैं आपको, आप इनके लिए क्या सलाह देना चाहेंगे?
She's asking about her inspiration, no? That's what, yeah. What is your what has inspired you to write? Like, you talked about your father, and then what else?
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
like I don't know. I feel like a fresh feeling to meet new people, meet new culture, and meet new word. So I want to write something about this.
Yeah, that's
Maybe same-
fair enough. Yeah,
same
new
here.
cultures inspire you, of course, and of course, lack of justice also, because it seems you are writing about, women in poverty. So, lack of justice must be inspiring you to write. So that is also another of your themes, and you are very inspired by new cultures. That's why you have written so many short stories set in different countries, from Laos to France. Yeah, totally global kind of story writing. Yeah, and if there are no more questions, we'll kind of, anyone else wants to ask a question? Otherwise, no, it seems, yeah. Okay, thank you very much, Miwa, for doing this, and thank you, Kokrajhar Lit Fest, for inviting both of us. We really enjoyed it, and good luck with your new book. And do get it translated, do find translators. There are translators now everywhere. Translation is getting big, and we should all talk with our government so that, intercultural translation increases between India and Japan. India has so many languages. There are books getting translated into English, but very few people in India read English. We need translations directly into Bengali or Marathi or Tamil and other languages. So yeah, that should happen. So thank you all. It's a pleasure talking with you, Miwa.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
May I
Gozaimasu.
thank you very much to Ms. Mewa Saguraki and Raja Chaudhary sir, and the dynamic audience for giving us a beautiful session of interactions, which will go down into the history of the development of literatures in Bodoland. But before you exit, I would like to have a very small request. One of the faculty co-colleague wants to open a book through your noble hand, so I would request Sakravati madam to come forward and just open her book. The name of the book is Upanyaskar Vinod Kumar Shukla, authored by Dr. Kasturi Chakravarti, Kokrajhar Government College. Publisher Anand Prakashan, Kolkata. So thank you very much. Once again, a great round of applause to the scholars presenting and enlightening the moment today. Thank you.